Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of FPL Fanzone. We are celebrating again as even in one game week we have gained another 50 subscribers. We have now hit the magic mark of 250 subscribers. So thank you so much for liking and subscribing, writing your comments. We're growing this community out. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel, you can also join the FPL Fanzone League. It's free to enter. The code is on the screen. I'll also leave a link below in the comments. There is a Premier League shirt up for grabs for the winner of that. Currently it is Tavish. It's been Tavish and Adam fighting it out over the last couple of weeks, but Tavish is now back on top of the league this week. So once again, 250 subscribers is amazing. My plan at the start of the season was if I'd be happy if I got 50 subscribers by the end of the first season. We're only halfway through. I'm at 5 times that already at 250 subscribers. So the next goal now is to get 20 likes on this video and then hit 300 subscribers now by the end of the season. Thank you very much, but let's get started. So this week there has been 2 major announcements to consider when looking at our future transfers for our team. The first one was we got the prices for the assistant managers. Now this chip isn't actually available until game week 24 and we'll go through those in the next couple of slides. Their different prices and my first reactions to those. There will be a more in-depth and detailed video coming out specifically around the assistant managers chip and when to play that. The other big announcement this week was, of course, the announcement of the double game week in game week 24. So the rescheduled game between Everton and Liverpool, which was postponed earlier in the season due to bad weather, that's coming into game week 24. So certainly something for us to start considering now as we hit game week 22. Do we want to start tripling up on Liverpool? Are we thinking about triple captain, or are we thinking even about using our assistant manager's chip in that game week 24? So let's have a quick look at the prices for the managers in here, and realistically there's no major surprises here. Mikel Arteta, Arne Slot, Pep Guardiola are 1.5 million. Eddie Howe is 1.5 million, so a little bit surprised there, but they have been on a great run of form at the moment. There's 4 different price ranges, so the next one down is 1.1 million, and then you've got your likes of your Iriola, your Hertzelas, your Bournemouths, your Brightons, your Fulhams. Nottingham Forest at 1.1, if you're struggling for budget, might be a good time to jump on them when they've got really great form at the moment. And then Tottenham is the last one at the 1.1s with Ange Postecoglou as well. Now with the 1.1s, there's not really a huge amount of value there in terms of that they're not high performing teams or consistent performing teams. They're sort of mid-tablers, top half. So unless they've got a really good run of fixtures, there's not a lot of value there, because the bonus points for table bonus for playing teams 5 above them means that they're only playing against the really good teams to get that bonus point. But let's have a quick look at the bottom half of the table and where there might be some real value in the lower priced managers. So having to free up some money to use this chip is a new use case this season. So the cheaper managers at 0.8 or 0.5 million may be a real option here. So someone like Graham Potter, new manager bounce, may be a good way to have a look at. You know, I'd obviously be avoiding the promoted teams of Southampton, Leicester and Ipswich. They're not having a good run of fixtures, and just trying to predict those table bonuses are not there. But where the real value is around the 0.8 mark, you've got Unai Emery from Aston Villa, you've got Ruben Amorim from Man United, you've got Oliver Glasner from Crystal Palace, who are just starting to find form and have a good run of fixtures coming up as well. Now with those players, a lot of those teams are a little bit out of position from where we expect them to finish in the league. So there will be some opportunities for them to pick up table bonus points, you know, so an extra 10 for a win or an extra 5 for a draw, if they're playing teams that are 5 places above them. So for me, looking at someone like an Oliver Glasner or an Unai Emery and looking at who's 5 places or more above them in the table and saying, are they fixtures that I'd like to target moving forward? So just some things to think about. As I mentioned, there will be a video coming out early next week, which will have a more in-depth review of the different types of games and when to be looking at the assistant manager chip. But this is my initial reactions on the pricing that got released earlier this week. Next up, we are going to have a quick look at the in-form teams at the moment. Look at their fixtures, look at some of the key players from each of those, and who we should be looking at bringing into our teams to take advantage of that. So here we have 5 teams that I think we should be targeting, either doubling or tripling up on at the moment. The first one is Newcastle. They're on a great run of form at the moment. Most people already have Isak. So if you've got Isak, he's not actually giving you any real value at the moment. Some people are captaining, so he may even be costing you points if you don't have him captained. But then there are some great other options in there. Lewis Hall in defence, Jacob Murphy, and of course Gordon in midfield. Their run of fixtures is good over the next 3. They've got Bournemouth at home this week, Southampton away next week, which is of course a massive one to target, especially you want to have at least 2 for that one. You've got Fulham at home, so a couple of home games there. Then it starts to get a little bit harder from game week 25, but certainly over the next 3 they're going to be great. Now, one thing to consider with Newcastle, tripling up on Newcastle or Crystal Palace or Liverpool, is that they could all potentially have a blank game week in game week 29. So you've got to start to think about game week 29 when the League Cup final is played. Currently, Newcastle 2-0 up against Arsenal in the first leg. So they versus Crystal Palace in game week 29 would be postponed. And then the Liverpool are currently 1-0 down against Tottenham. But if they overturn that, they would be playing. They would not be playing their game in game week 29 as well. So just start to think about future challenges that you may have if you've got. So for me, at the moment, I've got 3 Newcastle and 1 Crystal Palace already in my team. But that would mean that I've got 4 players missing if Newcastle make it to that final in game week 29. I've also got Liverpool. 2 Liverpool players, so I could potentially have as many as 6 players missing for that. So I need to start thinking about whether I free hit during that week or whether I'm going to be using transfers to get people out, or I just dead end into that week and then wildcard out the other side. But it's something to start thinking about on that as well. Next up on my list here is Nottingham Forest, and they are exceeding everybody's expectations this season. They've got Southampton at home this week. Now, Southampton are just falling apart at the moment. They conceded 3 late goals to Manchester United and Ahmed just yesterday. And so there are great opportunities there for you to triple up. Now, a lot of people, I think over 700,000 people have moved to Chris Wood this week. He's obviously the main striker at the moment. But you've got 2 great opportunities in midfield with Elanga or Gibbs-White, both on a good run of form, scoring and assisting. And then, of course, you've got in defence, they've been brilliant in defence as well, not conceding many goals. I mean, only 1 goal conceded against Liverpool, who have a fantastic attack. And you've got the likes of Aina or Mikalenkovic in there as well. So, yeah, some great opportunities there within that Forest squad. And the fixtures, again, over the next 4 are okay with Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Brighton at home, Fulham away. So, good opportunities there for both attack and defence to pick up some extra points. Next up is Crystal Palace. Now, while they've not been in a good run of form, their fixtures look amazing over the next 4 or 5. West Ham, Brentford, Everton, and then Man United in between. And Man United are middling at the moment. We don't know quite which team's going to turn up for them. So there's a couple of options here. You've got the likes of Gahey or Munoz in defence. Now, Munoz has the best underlying attacking stats in defence. He's not always converted them, but in terms of attacking threat, he's one of the best defenders in the game. And then in midfield, you've got the likes of Eze. Sarr is actually yellow flagged at the moment. He's in my team, so there's a bit of concern there. But you've got Eze or Sarr, and then up front you've got Mateta, who's starting to find his form again. 2 goals in the last 2 games. Certainly one to be looking at if you want to target this run of the next 4 for Crystal Palace. But again, just be careful that they could potentially blank in game week 29 if Newcastle maintain that lead in the second leg of the League Cup. Next up are Liverpool and Everton. Now, the reason these are both for here, one, obviously Liverpool is top of the league, the best team in the league at the moment, but both of these guys have double game weeks in game week 24, which means over the next 4 game weeks they have 5 games that they're playing. If you look at Liverpool's fixtures, they've got Brentford away this week, and Brentford are conceding a lot of goals. They are scoring a lot, so the defence is maybe not the best one to target this week. But moving forward, they've got Ipswich at home. Then in the double game week, they've got Bournemouth away and Everton away. Now, it is 2 away games, which is a shame, but both of those are winnable. And then, of course, after that, they've got Wolves at home as well. Now, if you're considering using your assistant manager chip from game week 24, you've got Bournemouth away, Everton away in game week 24. It lasts for 3 weeks. So then you've got Wolves at home in game week 25. But then they've got Man City in game week 26. Now, realistically, you don't really want to be keeping there, so you could use one of your free transfers to transfer on a slot out to someone who's got a better game week 26. I won't go into too much detail there, but does look like a good option there. You could switch to an Arteta who, for example, has West Ham at home in game week 26, and therefore the other option is you could use your assistant managership on someone like David Moyes. You know, the Messiah is back at Everton. He has Leicester at home and then Liverpool at home. Now, Liverpool at home, obviously it's a Merseyside derby. Moyes has just come back, so potentially new manager bounce, but also you get the table bonus points. So if they get a draw, he gets an extra 5 points, which would be more than if Arne Slot got a win against Everton. But also, if they get the win, he gets an extra 10 points. So it could be a massive haul there. And then you'd likely move off. So you potentially get the win against Leicester. You hope to either get a draw or win against Liverpool in the Merseyside derby. But unfortunately, Everton are just a bit hit and miss at the moment and not quite sure. Obviously, with the new manager, we'll see what happens a little bit closer to that time. But if I was to choose between the two managers right now, I'd probably gamble a little bit on having Moyes, just because if they get that draw in the Liverpool game, it's going to be more points than if Arne Slot got that, and then I would just transfer him out for easier fixtures in game week 25 and 26 as well. But for me, I'm going to be looking personally at triple captaining Salah in that game week 24 with the 2 away fixtures. Salah is phenomenal. He's scoring loads of goals away from home at the moment, so I think certainly that's where I'll be using my triple captainship. But again, if you're looking at Liverpool, you've got the likes of, if you haven't already got Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, he's not been great the last couple of games, but he's always got that huge upside of either getting a goal or getting a couple of assists. You've got the likes of course, Mo Salah. For me, I'm currently looking at Cody Gakpo. With the news that Jota is now injured again, Diaz has got a sore throat, so he's been missing training this week. Bringing Gakpo in has got more security of minutes, at least over the next couple of games, and hopefully that lasts until game week 24 as well. There is, of course, a minutes risk with any of those Liverpool attackers, so certainly something that we need to keep an eye out for if you are going to triple up on Liverpool for that week as well. But let me know in the comments below, guys. Are there any teams that I'm overlooking? Is there anyone that I'm missing in terms of that in form? But these are the players that I'm looking at targeting if they're not already in my team over the next coming weeks. Next up, we're going to have a quick look at the midfields and some of those cheaper options or those challenges we've got at the moment. So we're going to play a game of Would You Rather. So have a quick look at a couple of comparisons of different players, and I'm going to talk through which ones I would rather have in my team at the moment. If you've got this far into the video, please don't forget to hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new around here. We're on a real hype train at the moment. Just hit 250 subscribers on the channel, which is amazing for a new channel. So thank you very, very much. And hit that notification bell for updates of future videos coming on as well. So first up in the Would You Rather series is Anthony Gordon versus Brian Mbeumo. Now both of these are around that 7.8 million. Gordon is 24% owned and Mbeumo is 32% owned. Brian Mbeumo's got significantly more points at 138 and according to Gordon's 90. But actually, if you look at their form, Gordon's in better form at the moment. He's got the better run of fixtures. Certainly, if you look at Brentford's fixtures, they've got Liverpool and Tottenham in the next 3. But then after that, they get a lot easier. And Gordon have the easier run now with Southampton away next week. But they've got Man City coming up in game week 25. They're both on corners, so they have that set piece threat as well. Mbeumo is on penalties, which does give him a bit of advantage. So currently I have Gordon in my team, but I will potentially look to switch to Mbeumo when it gets to game week 25 on that as well. So right now, for short term, Anthony Gordon, long term, Brian Mbeumo, and he'll be coming in for my team for game week 25. But let me know, guys, which ones would you pick? Next up, and off the back of a hat-trick in the midweek games, we're going to look at some of the differentials or the enablers in that midfield. I personally have Morgan Rogers in my team. He's just been sat there as a rotation in and out of my team at 5.5 million. Amad Diallo has just broken the 100-point mark at 5.5 million. And then you've got Alex Iwobi with his 2 goals in midweek on 102 points at the moment. Now, if you look at form, Obviously, Diallo got the hat-trick, so his form has been jumped up to 7.0. You've got to take into consideration that Morgan Rogers actually was suspended the week before, so actually he's actually got one less game's worth of form data in there as well. And Iwobi is out of form at the moment. We got 2 goals in the last game, but both of those look like they were crosses that just happened to go all the way in because no one got a touch on them. But even so, he's got Leicester away this week, so a good fixture for that as well. If I was to choose, looking at the short term, if this week alone I would have Alex Iwobi, but we don't obviously make transfers for just one game week. Looking longer term, I would just keep Morgan Rogers in my team. After the Arsenal game this week, he's got West Ham, Wolves and Ipswich, which looks like a great run of fixtures. He's on 90. He's 90 minutes guaranteed. He's playing every week. He would just stay in my team. With the Manchester United team, they are hit and miss at the moment. Obviously, he got a hat-trick against Southampton, but Southampton are just giving goals away at the moment, so I wouldn't rely on that consistency of points, of him getting 20 points every week. And then Iwobi, again, a slightly mid-table team when it looks at Fulham, so not as exciting there when I look at those fixtures moving forward. So would I rather? It would be Morgan Rogers for me, but if you've got Amad Diallo, I would certainly keep him. The other piece of advice I would have is stop trying to jump between these. I did this a little bit earlier on in the season. I kept jumping between that 3rd or 5th midfielder, trying to find the cheap one to get the right points. Right now, I'm just sticking with Morgan Rogers and saving up my transfers as we start getting to the crazy period of blanks and doubles later on in the season. So whichever one, if you've got any of these, congratulations. They're all doing very, very well for their price. I would just keep the one that you've got and hold them and save your transfers for more pressing issues within your team. Next up is your forward line, and right now, as I said, people are moving back to Chris Wood. A lot of people benched him for the Liverpool game, but he got another 9-pointer. Isak is, of course, in everyone's team at the moment. I think he's 56 or 57% owned now in the team. So I'm not going to talk about those two. They're both scoring lots of goals at the moment. Isak is scoring 2-3 goals a game. At the moment, he's getting lots and lots of points. Wood is just being very, very consistent. But let's look at who's the third option. Who else should we be looking at? I currently have Cunha, who is yellow flagged this week. Some of you will have João Pedro, who looks like a great option, but again is yellow flagged, so maybe a potential risk there for you. So let's have a look at a couple of options for a third forward in our teams. So for me, I've picked out these 3 there. They're all differentials within the team. You've got Cody Gakpo, who's 8.7% owned, Yohan Wissa, who's 9.8% owned, and then Jean-Philippe Mateta, who's only 4.4% owned. Now, we talked a little bit around that Liverpool forward line. Jota, the announcement in the press conference was that Jota was injured, so that should secure Cody's minutes for a little bit moving forward. Ideally, I want to hold off until game week 23 to bring him in for the Ipswich game, but I need to make some transfers now, and the pricing is a little bit tight for me because I'm moving up from Cunha to that 7.4 million. So for me, I'll be looking at potentially bringing in Cody Gakpo this week. He's got Brentford away, who do concede goals. They conceded 2 against Man City earlier on in the week. You've got Ipswich at home, then they've got the double game week, and then they've got Wolves at home. So even if I keep him for the next 5 games, I think as long as his minutes stay as they are, he's going to be a good choice for my team moving forward. The other 2 here, Yohan Wissa at the 100-point mark already for the season, 10 goals, 3 assists. So he's actually on a much better run of form over the whole season. And it's either him or Mbeumo that get goals typically for that Brentford front line. Now, the fixtures for them are not great at the moment. Liverpool this week, Crystal Palace, who are just starting to get a bit better, and then Tottenham away, who are conceding goals at the moment, and then it gets a little bit better after that from game week 25, as we mentioned earlier with Brian Mbeumo. And then lastly, we've got Jean-Philippe Mateta, 2 goals in the last 2 games. A good run of fixtures coming up at the moment with West Ham, Brentford, Everton over the next 4. Just starting to find a bit of form. So I just think that he's a good option if you want to attack those fixtures. For me, if I'm picking, it's going to be Cody Gakpo for my team because of the double. If there wasn't the double, it would either be Gakpo or Mateta just because of the fixtures. But let me know in the comments below, guys. I haven't put Raul Jimenez on here as well. He is part of my thought process, but he doesn't really have great fixtures and he doesn't have the double. If you've already got him, I would keep him. I wouldn't make that switch. Of course, if you've already got, if you haven't got Isak or Wood, I would move to them first before any of these three. So just taking a quick look at my current team as it stands for game week 22. In game week 21 in the midweek fixtures, I did get 65 points, which was a very small green arrow of just under 10,000 places up, but I'm happy that it's green either way. Before the Amad Diallo hat-trick, I was 170,000 places up, so that really impacted my rank this week, but it's still a green arrow, so I'm quite happy there. I've got 3 free transfers and 0.2 million in the bank. So let's have a quick look at the team. I've got Pickford in goal, who is at home to Tottenham. Now my option is to switch to Flecken, who's got Liverpool at home. So I just think Pickford is the better option between the two there. In defence, I've got Aina at home to Southampton. This looks like a great fixture. Hall at home to Bournemouth, and Trent Alexander-Arnold away to Brentford. Now Trent Alexander-Arnold has not been great the last couple of weeks. He is a concern in my team, but as you can see, I've got 3 yellow flags elsewhere. So right now he's just going to stay for that attacking threat, and hopefully he can get some bonus points as well. In my midfield, Cole Palmer is currently my vice captain. He would be my captain if he wasn't yellow flagged. There is a potential risk. Enzo Maresca mentioned he had injuries, so he may not potentially play. I've then got Rodgers away to Arsenal. Now, I would have preferred to play Sarr, who's away at West Ham, but Sarr is yellow flagged, so I've just got Rodgers playing at the moment. And then I've got my captain's armband on Salah, who has let me down the last 2 weeks in terms of captaincy. There have been better options there, but I am keeping the faith. He has been phenomenal for the rest of the season. And then lastly, in midfield, I've got Gordon at home to Bournemouth. And then up front, I've got Cunha, currently yellow flagged, who is away to Chelsea. I've got Isak, obviously the man in form at the moment, who is at home to Bournemouth. And then I've got Chris Wood, who is at home to Southampton. And then on my bench, Flecken, Sarr, who's yellow flagged. I've got Gabriel at home to Aston Villa and Kirkes away to Newcastle. So let's have a quick look. 3 free transfers, 0.2 million in the bank. So given that there is a double game week coming up, let's have a look at what my potential lineup could be before the game week deadline. So these are my potential transfers. I'm looking at taking Sarr out, who is yellow flagged, and bringing in Elanga. Now this feels like a bit of a luxury transfer at the moment, but it does free up a little bit of money, which allows me to move from Cunha up to Gakpo. Now I was hoping to do this maybe in a week's time when Liverpool's fixtures get a little bit better and they're playing Ipswich as opposed to Brentford. But right now it only leaves me 0.1 to play with, so I need to make this transfer. If I'm going to do it, I'll need to do it before the deadline, before there's any price changes next week. It does mean that would then be tripled up on Liverpool, Newcastle and Nottingham Forest, but all of those teams are in a good run of form at the moment, and obviously by bringing in Gakpo, that then sets me up to have the triple for the double game week. I've also got Pickford in goal as well, so he will also have a double that week. So I'm already set up. I'll have 1 free transfer rolling over, 0.1 million in the bank. So it looks for me like the team is much stronger. I have triple against Southampton at home this week, which feels like a good result. And then I'll also have triple Liverpool against Ipswich next week as well. So right now, this looks like the moves that I'm going to be making in my team. As I said, using 2 of my free transfers, rolling 1, so that I'll have 2 next week as well. So thank you very much. Let me know in the comments below what you're doing with your team. How did you get on in the midweek fixtures? Don't forget that there is a short turnaround. The game week is 11 o'clock on Saturday morning in the UK time. I think it's 10 p.m. here tonight in Australia. So thank you very much. So once again, big thank you for watching FPL Fanzone. If you have managed to make it all the way to the end, and this has been a slightly longer one than usual, please do hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and that notification button if you want updates on future videos coming through. As I said, we're on a real hype train at the moment, 250 subscribers now, and over that within the first 20 game weeks, which has absolutely blown me away. So if you want to make an old man very happy, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and may all of your arrows be green.